Happy 24. I am Dr. Lee Bell on a mission from God to heal the hurt and hearts too. Let the healing begin. Normally I have a 5-minute song going. That one happens to be 9, so 5 minutes in I'll fade that down and we'll actually start the interview.
Okay.
Right now, Facebook Live is going. How y'all doing? So we will be talking about you as an artist, how you came to be. Do you consider yourself a blues artist?
Blues, soul,
Okay.
and R&B.
Okay. I'll be asking you about your influences, your experiences in life or your experiences here in Flint that led you to that chapter in your life. And we're talking about 25 minutes or so. So it's a chance for you to get your word out, your message out. Of course, we'll ask where your music can be purchased at, heard, and all of those great things. We'll talk about have you had any other producers besides Simeon?
Jeffrey Valley is where I first started.
Okay, that's funny because Jeffrey hired me at FLT radio and went in and interviewed with you. Said, do you know anything about gospel music? I said, the only thing I know about gospel music is the Mighty Clouds of Joy. Not their music, the name. I didn't even know very much about their music. But he did hire me and had a great stint over there at 1420.
When I was a youngster at home in Gary, Indiana, I had some bricks that I would get up on and peep through the window when they came to town.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mighty Clouds of Joy, Soul Stirrers, Swan Silver Tones.
Okay.
My roots, that was the beginning of my singing. Because my roots are actually gospel.
Okay.
And I ended up being the youngest individual in a gospel trio. And everyone else was like 5 years older than me. So when they graduated from high school, one went to college, the other went to the Air Force. That ended my singing the gospel for a while. And then I got into the a cappella choir in high school.
Okay. That's beginning similar to many of the folk that we listen to. Most folks have gotten their start in gospel music. And then for one reason or another, crossed over and went into the mainstream or pop music as they call it now.
Yeah.
Do you do any musical writing?
lyrics on it.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's a pretty hefty burden in and of itself to come up with the content, the stories that make your music or your records relevant.
Yes. The Rising from the Ashes CD, which was the first CD. Every song on there, except for Still Away, was a life experience for me.
Okay.
That I wrote about.
Okay, we're going to fade out of this and start our actual interview. If you could get a little closer to the mic. 92.1 WFOV, Our Voices Radio, yours and mine. How you guys doing? I am Dr. Lee Bell, your Jazz Jacuzzi host here at Flint's premier community radio station. We're taking a break from the Jazz Jacuzzi. We're doing a portion we call Pushing the Positive and People Who Make a Difference. And we have a very special guest in the studio today. Would you enter and sign in, please?
Yes. Good afternoon, all you listeners out in Radio Land.
And viewers.
I'm Andrew Edwards. And Dr. Bell, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for having me here.
My pleasure, Andrew. We've worked together in the past. It's been a few years, but heard you're still in the grind doing your musical thing. So I thought that we would bring you in and reacquaint the community with you and introduce others to you and your music.
Thank you.
For those uninitiated, who is Andrew Edwards?
I'm a blues, R&B, and Southern soul singer, songwriter.
Okay. And what brought you to become a recording artist in our fair city?
Well, first of all, it's always been a childhood dream to be a singer. And songwriting never entered my mind throughout all the years that I inspired to want to be a singer. And when it really boiled down to getting into the studio, that's when I realized that I had to write. And that's when my songwriting began. And I took the experiences from my life, things that happened. Everyone has experienced love in some form or fashion.
Yes.
And be it good or bad. And my first CD, Rising from the Ashes, 9 songs on there are life experiences of my life.
Give us a couple of the titles of those songs.
She's Stalking Me, Rising from the Ashes, which is the title track to the album. Still Away, which was a remake of a Jimmy Hughes song.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other songs on there also.
So hopefully one of those titles have piqued your interest. So look for Andrew Edwards, Rising from the Ashes, the title of his first project. And as we talk through the time together, hopefully you will be moved to search out he and his music. Okay, Andrew.
Yes.
We met about a week ago at a community event. We hadn't seen each other in a while.
Correct.
And you piqued my interest. You said you did a remake of a very famous, popular tune. What's the name of that tune?
Yes, that was a Tyrone Davis tune called Can I Change My Mind?
And we've all asked ourselves at one time or another about changing our minds. What was that experience like for you in the studio to be doing such an iconic tune?
It was a thrill. It was a great thrill. I had the opportunity to sing this song publicly and get an audience response before going into the studio. And when that happened, I called my producer, Simeo, and told him, I'm ready, let's do it.
Okay, and that's Simeo Overall, extraordinary producer. I know that you have a past life here in Flint that many people are familiar with. What are some of the other exploits or experiences that you have that people might connect with that say, oh, I remember him?
Okay. Well, first of all, a lot of people know me from the way I dress.
Mm-hmm.
And that came about in the earlier years when I first came here. I was a professional model, and I was a member of one of Chicago's hottest modeling troops, Charles Douglas and Company. And I was the only member that didn't live in Chicago. I lived here in Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
And I also had a modeling school, the Edwards School of Modeling. One of my top students became an Essence model, and then she was also brought into the Chicago troupe that I was a part of also.
So if you thought you knew the face and the name, you would be correct. Bring us to your journey that brought you to the recording industry.
Well, like I said earlier, as a child I always wanted to be a singer, and with the modeling school it gave me the opportunity to write my own graduation shows and produce them at Whiting Auditorium every year. And at that time I would also have the opportunity to write myself in to do a song. So I never gave up on the dreams of being a singer. And in my, well, back in 2009 is when I really buckled down and began to write songs. And that was the beginning of my professional career as a singer and songwriter.
Have you penned a special song for that special someone in your life?
Yes, I have.
And what would the title of that song be?
How You Feel About Me.
That's a question also that we all ask ourselves or ask our significant other somewhere in the relationship.
Yes, it is. Yes. And it's basically a question of security. And for some people, it's a question of insecurity. And when I was growing up, there was a lot of duets were popular.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my hopes and dreams of one day doing a duet, male and female duet.
Now, the big question, who did you choose to do that duet with?
Miss Bobby Rogers from Flint, Michigan.
All right. Now, I've heard that song, and it's a great tune. Two great talents bringing that message to you. Andrew, we talked about your humble beginnings as a gospel artist.
Yes.
Share that with the people.
Yes. At the age of 12, I was the member of a gospel quartet group, and I was the youngest member in the group. And we sang gospels, and we opened up for different artists that came into the area. Before that, some of my favorite groups, I would have some bricks that I would stand on, and peep through the window of the buildings that they would be performing in. And I just loved Mighty Clouds of Joy, the Soul Stirrers.
Yes.
Swan Silvertones. As a kid, I got to see these great performers perform. And then at the age of 12, I was buying my own tickets to go in and see them. And I'm from Gary, Indiana, so our Apollo, which was in Chicago, Illinois, was known as the Regal Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there to see a lot of shows also. And I still remember one of the first black families of singing pop, R&B, was long before the Jacksons, which was the Five Star Steps out of Chicago.
Ooh, child.
Yes, sir. So I saw a lot of great acts come to the Regal Theater, even the Motown Review.
So a lesson to be gleaned from this interview, boys, girls, ladies, and gentlemen, stay strong and convicted to your dreams. Myself also, as a child, I knew I'd be on radio. Played radio, played records, talked to myself, and here I am. Look at us now.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what it's like to go into the studio and record? A lot of times we see others do it, but we don't know what it actually takes. From the moment you hooked up with Simeo and decided you wanted to do a recording, what were the steps that you went through?
Well, first of all was preparing, and preparing long before you go to the studio. And you keep preparing until you know in your heart that you're ready to lay down the final tracks in the studio.
And for the people aspiring to be a musician, a recording artist, you want to prepare because studio time costs.
Yes, it does.
So the more prepared you are, the better return on your investment you get. Preparation cuts down on your actual time in the studio. So always prepare.
Correct. Yes, it's well worth it because it's your money and your time, and the finished product is going to be the end result of what you have to offer, and you want to have the best to offer.
Okay, after preparation, what happens?
After preparation, you book your time in the studio, and then when that time comes, you go in and get the sound checks, and you start recording.
And while you're in the studio recording, what's going through your mind? What is your inspiration? What is pushing you to get the best product?
What pushes me is you get to hear yourself instantly. Every word or syllable, you hear it instantly through the headphones that you wear, and as a monitor. And the better that I sound to myself, the more satisfied that I am with what I'm doing, and the more inspiration that I get from it also.
Are you recording live with musicians? Are you in the studio by yourself?
I'm recording to pre-recorded tracks, and at some point live instruments are brought in afterwards.
Okay. Now, we have gone far enough into this interview without letting the people know where they can find your music and hear your music.
They can find my music on iTunes, YouTube, Apple, and there's all the other affiliates that are connected to CD Baby.
I encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, to get to all of those sites. One of those sites, check out Andrew Edwards. We claim him here as a Flintstone. Southern soul, blues, you name it, you'll be moved. Andrew, after the recording session and everything's produced and your product is ready for the street, what's next?
Well, next is getting it distributed. Getting a distributor to distribute your music so it can be heard. And so it can be heard on radio also.
Now, are you pushing your music from the trunk as well as those pre-mentioned sites?
Yes, I am.
So, if we see you out and about, we can get your product.
Yes, you can.
Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get much easier than that. Access firsthand. How does the marketing go as far as how do you get airplay?
Well, my experience with airplay has been getting it distributed, getting a distributor to distribute it to the radio stations for airplay. And here at home locally, I take care of that myself.
Okay.
Okay.
And Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock till noon, 10 o'clock through midnight in the PM, Maurice D. Davis, the Blues and News show comes on this station, WFOV 92.1, and you're bound to hear some Andrew Edwards. And also in the coming weeks, here inside the Jazz Jacuzzi, we'll also be playing Andrew Edwards' music. And 92.1 WFOV, our station, has included Andrew in our rotation on Flint Fridays. We'll give you more information on that as well. Andrew, a few years back, I believe it was when President Obama was running the first time, we did some events on the lawn of City Hall.
Yes, we did.
And you were gracious enough to come out and perform for us as people came in to do their absentee ballots.
Yes.
Where can we see you around town now?
Currently, I'm working on some gospel projects at the minute, and there's a possibility that I may be doing the Floyd McCree dinner. I mean, not Floyd McCree, but
Floyd Clack.
Floyd Clack. Sorry about that.
Floyd and Brenda Clack.
Yes, their annual Thanksgiving dinner.
And that dinner is always held the Tuesday before Thanksgiving over at Foss Avenue Activity Center. So if you're one of the seniors who frequently attends that Thanksgiving dinner put on by the Clacks for over 30 years, you might be blessed. So mark that on your calendar. Any other things in the works?
Well, and let me add that once it's finalized, I'll get back with you, Mr. Bell.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll get that information to you, our listening and viewing audience. Just a reminder, it's people who make a difference as we push the positive here inside the Jazz Jacuzzi. Heard Saturdays at 92.1 WFOV, Our Voices Radio, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., and the rebroadcast 3 a.m. until 8 a.m. Spread the word, let it be heard. Andrew, give us some parting information on following through on chasing your dreams.
Well, first of all, if it's in your heart, then never give it up. Continue to strive for it.
Simple. Keep your dream forefront. Stay focused. As you were coming through adulthood and living your life, did you talk to others about your dreams of being a recording artist?
Yes, I did.
And
yes.
What was the feedback?
Well, I was always called a dreamer, and other things came up in my life that put things on delay, and I got a late start. And at a late age, people even said, well, maybe he must not be in his right mind. So you can't let things like that deter you from your dreams. If it's in your heart, do it and believe what you're doing, and you shall succeed.
And this comes from a gentleman who kept focused, never abandoning his dream. In a changing economy here in the Midwest, in towns like Flint, Michigan, where we're moving away from being employees, it's time to live your life, live your dreams, and begin to build your and our own. If you have a dream, follow that dream, live, eat, sleep that dream. This is a message for not only the young in our community, but also the seasoned citizens. Life is great. It gets even better when you're able to satisfy that hunger within you. When you're able to realize your life's dream. It's okay to have a great paying job, but it's even better when you can be the master of your own destiny. When you don't awaken to an alarm clock to go work on the line. For many of us who are following our dreams, we have internal clocks where you wake up enthusiastically and you get to work on your passion and your dream. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in thanking Andrew Edwards for joining us here inside the Jazz Jacuzzi as we push the positive and people who make a difference. Back to the Jazz Jacuzzi here at 92.1 Wfov, Our Voices Radio, yours and mine. We're still live on that camera, so as soon as we get his attention. Great interview, great information. Like I said, we'll be putting the tunes in rotation. I think Paul said he'll get to that tonight as I get off the air. So we can get a time when Flint Fridays actually airs and you can hear your music amongst other Flintstones. I want to thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you.
And we will have you back. Without a doubt.
All right. And next time I won't forget, because I forgot Steve Pitts.
One of your producers?
Yeah. I started out with him before, because when I did Can't Play the Game, he produced that. And matter of fact, that particular song was the first song that I wrote, Can't Play the Game. And after he played that back for me, then that's when I decided I would write some more. Yeah, but that was my start, and it means a lot to me because I'm from Gary, Indiana, and even though I got my start here, but I got it on Jackson Street. So that rings a bell for me, and that's where Steve's studio used to be. And before I came along, he was known for producing the Dayton Family.
Oh, well, let me, so you still need this, right?
Yeah, we haven't put it into the system.
Okay.
He said he'll do that when I get off tonight.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave it right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want it back when we're done?
No, you keep it. When
Okay.
It's yours when it's done.
Okay.
Okay. And this was for Bob.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought she would have been here. She
Okay.
would be outside somewhere.
Oh, okay.
But they're barbecuing and there's having a mural put on the wall. So there's lots of activity going on, and you know, people walk by and they can see us on the air and all of that stuff. So it's a lot of activity going on outside.
Okay.
So who are you talking with at Floyd's about Floyd's dinner?
You know what? No one yet. I was gonna, cause I'm working on a gospel project, but I know I need to talk to somebody.
Okay.
Okay. But if there's anything, you know, if there's someone you want to contact.
Well, I used to, the young lady that used to work for them used to call me. She hasn't in 3 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw Brenda recently, and she thought I had been regularly coming. I said, no, I haven't been in 4 years.
Okay.
So I will reach out to them and see. Happy 24. Happy 24. I am Dr. Lee Bell on a mission from God to heal the hurt and hearts too. Let the healing begin. Normally I have a 5-minute song going. That one happens to be 9, so 5 minutes in I'll fade that down and we'll actually start the interview.
Okay.
Right now, Facebook Live is going. How y'all doing? So we will be talking about you as an artist, how you came to be. Do you consider yourself a blues artist?
Blues, soul,
Okay.
and R&B.
Okay. I'll be asking you about your influences, your experiences in life or your experiences here in Flint that led you to that chapter in your life. And we're talking about 20-25 minutes or so. So it's a chance for you to get your word out, your message out. Of course, we'll ask where your music can be purchased at, heard, and all of those great things. We'll talk about have you had any other producers besides Simeon?
Jeffrey Valley is where I first started.
Okay. That's funny because Jeffrey hired me at FLT radio and went in and interviewed with you. Said, do you know anything about gospel music? I said, the only thing I know about gospel music is the Mighty Clouds of Joy. not their music, the name. I didn't even know very much about their music. But he did hire me and had a great stint over there at 1420.
When I was a youngster at home in Gary, Indiana, I had some bricks that I would get up on and peek through the window when they came to town.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mighty Clouds of Joy, Soul Stirrers, Swan Silver Tones.
Okay.
My roots, that was the beginning of my singing, because my roots are actually gospel.
Okay.
And I ended up being the youngest individual in a gospel trio. And everyone else was like 5 years older than me. So when they graduated from high school, one went to college, the other went to the Air Force. So that ended my singing gospel for a while. And then I got into the a cappella choir in high school.
Okay. That's beginning similar to many of the folk that we listen to. Most